Welcome to Fire From Within. I'm Lauren Tallarico. Today, sharing with us, Witalij. Witalij,
hi. It's good to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, a pleasure to have you. So I was with you last night at your breathwork workshop. So I know you don't like to introduce yourself with labels, but you have a powerful gift that you share with people. Can you tell me a little bit about your work?
Yes, I do breath work. I created my own method of breathing. There's a lot of different breathing rhythms involved and different breathing techniques, but I was inspired, and what gave me understanding of how to lead the breath work is my work with ayahuasca, with my work with medicine. But during my sessions, we're not consuming any type of medicines or psychedelics. It's only your breath. But I think that I like to bring the intensity of plant medicine into my breathwork sessions. So, yeah.
And it does get intense. I know that from personal experience. Can you tell me a little bit about one of the things you mentioned the first time I worked with you was you're not a healer. You said, I teach you to remember.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to expand a little bit on this. I think breathwork, I've been noticing that it's, I wouldn't say superior, but it's more whole method of healing. It's not only connecting the dots cognitively, mentally, it's also releasing a lot of trauma in your body, releasing it somatically. And the part remember, I really connection to your spirit, connecting to your soul, because we're so distracted in the day-to-day world that we forget that connection, we lose that connection. And I think it's one of the most important aspects, not only connecting the dots and releasing somatically, but also remembering that you are the spirit and you are love. And that connection to remember is to remember God in the first place, because in my belief, God is love. There's nothing religious about it, it's more spiritual approach to look at it. I believe that God is love, and everything outside of love is human conditioning. And we are unable to experience love, God, 24/7 because of our human conditioning. So when you come to my session, we shed layers of that human conditioning, little by little, you know, so that you can experience more of yourself, so that you can remember who you are, that you're not only the body, you are also the spirit.
I feel like that resonates so much with me, because after the first time I worked with you and people would ask, like, what was that like? I said the only way to describe it was when you meet somebody and you're falling in love. It's that heightened emotion of falling in love, but you're falling in love with yourself.
Absolutely.
I have never felt that before, and at one session with you, it was life-changing, my outlook, and remembering how to feel and allowing yourself to feel. My girlfriend that went with me the first time, we're like, is this what life is supposed to feel like? It's supposed to feel this good? And also going into it, there was a lot of fear. Could you talk to me about that and how people work through the fear of getting to you? Because when I watch some of the videos with the physical response, that looks scary. And I'm like, I actually went into it thinking I'm not gonna have that response, and I did. I remember physically just my body convulsing and I feeling somebody maybe touch my abdomen, and I settled, but it was extremely intense and powerful. And in the end, on the other side, beautiful.
So there's a few things to it. I think that fear is something that you come to heal in the first place, because that fear is the fear of taking action, the fear of uncertainty, the fear of the unknown, and the fear of losing control. And that's exactly what you're going to get in my session. You know, you will lose control. You will be in the environment of chaos, where you will have your eyes closed and people will be screaming and crying and processing your emotions. And within that whole process, you have to find yourself. You know, life, whether you realize it or not, is pretty chaotic. You know, and a lot of us in today's society struggle with anxiety and depression because this is our response to what's going on, to the chaos. You know, but once you start understanding that it never stops, it's always more work to do, and might as well just start now. You know, and I think that the physical parts is also very important because with breathing we are accessing altered state of consciousness, okay? We're connecting to our subconscious, and I believe that majority of our subconscious mind resides in the body. And our body is our first layer of protection from the outside world, okay? And when we are breathing with certain different breathing rhythms and techniques that I'm guiding you with, our body gets activated, okay? There's a lot of elements where I believe that our body is a conduit of electricity, you know, and there's a lot of different blockages that we have within our body that does not allow this electricity to flow freely. That's why we're almost always, as a society, so tired, right? And with breathing, I see it almost like that breath is almost like a scanner. That specific breath that I'm guiding you with that points out the physical blockages and sensations that you might not be aware of when you're in normal state, but they're there. We're so used to inflammation in our body, we're so used to different tensions and pains that we think that it's a normal state to to operate to operate in, but it's not. And just like you said, that connection that you've experienced, am I supposed to feel like this every day? Yes, it's possible. It's possible.
Some of the physical pain that people have, that release that they have after, is that possibly like that's trapped emotion and it's coming out as physical pain, and then after the work and the breath work and is some of the shaking a release of that?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not only about crying and screaming in a session. There is a process that is happening inside your body that is deeper than screaming and crying. There's moments in my session where you are saturating yourself with oxygen, and also moments where you are deprivating yourself from oxygen. You get into a state of intermittent hypoxia that medically has been proven is a very healing state to be in. Because imagine that whatever there's inflammation or tension in your body, the blood is not circulating properly, the oxygen is not flowing properly. So what happens when we breathe with certain rhythms, especially when we put ourselves into that intermittent hypoxia state, we put ourselves into almost like a fasting state. Those areas that were already inflamed, they are activated even more. That's why those cramping and spasms and pains and burning comes up, because we're activating those areas. And when we saturate, after that deprivation, when we saturate those cells with oxygen, the cells are like, wake up, I know what to do right now, and I'm gonna do it. That's why a lot of physical symptoms are not even symptoms, but the source of those symptoms are relieved. Because very often also we connect during my session those symptoms to an emotion. Because when you're in altered state of consciousness, you have that mental filter removed, and you are thinking less and feeling more.
Yeah, you're in your heart, which is, I think, such a beautiful gift that you share with people, because they find their heart and what it's like to feel, which is
I think this is one of the most important parts of this work. People just are very attracted to their own suffering, and when I post videos with people crying and screaming, they get attracted to it. But what's more important about my session than healing trauma is connecting to your heart.
Yeah. The second time, which was last night that I worked with you, it felt different, less of a physical response and less of almost like a screaming and crying, and more of a state of calm, but an altered state of consciousness as well. Is that something, as I continue to work with you and others continue to follow you, it changes?
Yes, absolutely. Every session is different. I might play even the same exact music, but the session will be different because you are in a different position in your life than you were from when you came the first time. And I'm also carrying a different energy. I work a lot with plant medicine, and sometimes I bring the energy of something that I'm working on, and I trigger that in people. You know, it might sound weird, but when I'm healing, when I'm helping other people heal, I'm also healing myself, and vice versa.
Yeah. You mentioned that last night early on in the workshop that you were healing yourself, and there was a point where that lady, she sung a song and she had not been able to use her voice in years, and you said, try. And it was so beautiful. I mean, it brought tears to my eyes. But then I understood. I was like what you said, that healing is healing yourself. And I'm like, I felt so connected to this woman. I went up at the end and gave her a hug, and we both cried, and I just felt her energy. And it, on some way that I can't explain in words, it was healing for me to embrace her and to see her use her voice. I mean, what did you think of her, and what did you think of her experience?
I think it's one of very, very many. You know, it's I love when people are sharing, because we can really see what people are going through and connect to them on some level, you know, and there has been so many beautiful, beautiful sharings. It's one of my favorite part. That's why I encourage people always to stay, because you're not only gonna understand what happened to you better, but you will also understand that in a room full of complete strangers, there's so much in common, you know, and by the end of the session, you feel oneness with every single person in there. Maybe when you came first, you felt some judgment towards someone, somebody looks strange or smells strange, or actually smells, everybody smells good in my sessions. But that disconnection, it wasn't because the people were not right in this place. It's because you were disconnected from yourself. And the more you are connected to yourself, the more you are able to connect to everyone else.
I noticed that in day-to-day life, just listening to other people's small encounters at the store, especially with my children, you are just so in tuned, and you feel everything on a deeper level that it's hard. It's hard to explain with words. That's why I encouraged last night. My mom came with me and some girlfriends, and I'm like, this is your own experience, and you just have to trust. And that's something you said as well. If you feel like you're gonna die, go there and die. Like,
yes, this sounds rough, but this is what my teacher has been teaching me with when it comes to plant medicine. But of course, breathwork is not as strong or as powerful as ayahuasca. For some people it is, but I think that it relates because all you can do in that moment when things you think that they're going sideways is trust. And that's exactly what happens in life. When we're in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the chaos, it's really hard for us to see the bigger picture of things, you know, and we get caught up. We get caught up in the storm. And I got it from my work with my teacher from the ceremonies, that there's nothing else you can do but trust that there is a bigger picture, and that it will work out, and that everything is perfect.
I like that. And you're learning to trust yourself.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a quick break, my friends. We'll be back with Witalij.
Aloha! Joe Silva here with Kukua Technologies. I'm excited to see you on Tuesdays on Morning Coffee for our tech tips.
Let's face it, lawyers get a bad rap. I'm Erin Brucey, host of Legal Breakdown, where we dissect legal topics for the everyday viewer, with a mix of interesting guests to talk about current events and hot legal topics. Let's work together to make the law accessible and relevant to everyone. Catch us every week on RVN Television.
A stroke can be easy to detect. A loved one can't speak, perhaps they can't move. But there's another sign of a stroke that many of us can't see. It's called spatial neglect, and it can occur during or after a stroke, causing distorted visual movements. Fortunately, there's a solution by using optical prism technology during rehabilitation. If you or a loved one have experienced a stroke, ask your doctor about spatial neglect. Spatial neglect. See the whole picture at KesslerFoundation.org.
Are you part of the Great Resignation? Are you a business owner that would like to diversify your business holdings? Have you always had an entrepreneurial itch but did not have a concept to get you started? Milestone Franchising represents over 500 franchise concepts across 30 industries. Concepts range from $20,000 to $6 million, and they can be home-based, office-based, mobile, or brick and mortar. We guide you through the process to select which concept is best for you based upon your core competencies, your interests, and your financials. Milestone Franchising is part of the International Franchise Professionals Group, IFPG, and will bring a host of resources to assist you in your quest for business ownership. When you work with a certified franchise consultant, you gain access to a professional process that helps you succeed in your search for the right placement. Finding the best placement for you within the franchising world of 4,000 concepts is the objective. Matching your skills and goals with a culture that fits you best is the priority. For a free consultation, visit our website at milestonefranchising.com. Milestone Franchising is here to lead you in a new direction.
Welcome back to Fire From Within. Before we took our break, we left it on trust, and I think that is such a powerful gift that I found from my work with you is self-trust and a tool that I can take with me. And as I mentioned, being able to share this with my mom and then these practices with my children, it's generations of healing and creating new space for new ideas and thoughts and tools. I grew up in an Irish Catholic family and as well, my mom. So there's a lot of controversy, and I know you've gotten a lot of, is this an exorcism, some maybe not so kind, feedback. Could you chat with us about that?
Yes, I could chat about this. My sessions are not religious in any way. I'm not making you believe in anything other than yourself. And I think this is the most important part of my session, is to believe in yourself, because I'm just there to guide you. And you are the one doing the work, and you are the one going through those emotions, processing them by yourself. There's a lot of different breathwork modalities out there that sometimes even have hands-on touching you, babying you, whispering in your ear to help you go through the process. And I believe that this is your opportunity to gain that resilience, to gain that strength on your own. Of course, I'm maintaining a safe environment throughout the session, right? But sometimes when it looks like an exorcism, it's not an exorcism, it's an energy release. Our body stores so much trauma that we are not even aware of, and the process of release might be seen as exorcism, because have you ever seen an exorcism in your life? Have you ever seen an exorcism?
No, I mean something in movies. I mean, but
exactly,
not
something
anything,
that Hollywood is portraying for us to instill even more fear, And those people who have never even seen an exorcism, they are having an opinion that this is exorcism. This is just an energy release, And this is how healing looks sometimes, when body's trembling, when you're shaking. Shaking in itself is a trauma release. Imagine that when it's a New Year's, right? Do you have a pet?
Do I have a pet?
Dog or?
We used to. No, we just have a fish now.
Fish. So why am I asking? Because sometimes on the New Year's, when there's fireworks, right, the dogs are scared and they're shaking, right? And it's a natural response to stress, to fear, shaking. But what humans do is we lock up, tense up, right? And shaking, releasing, like it might look like an exorcism, but this is also a release of that energy that got stuck in you. We're constantly bombarded with different energies, and we are not equipped with the tools to be able to process it. A lot of things get stuck. That energy does not find an outlet. The energy of anger. Sometimes we're angry with our mom, but our mom has been teaching us that it's not good to express your anger, right? It's not appropriate to be angry, to scream, to yell. So we trap those emotions and they sit with us for years, and then developing into tumors sometimes even, right? That stagnant energy that did not find an outlet. That's why when you come to my sessions, a lot of the anger is released, a lot of the suppressed, unexpressed emotions, something that you wanted to say to your mom, to your dad, and you never said it. But and it's not a bad thing to be angry, to release that anger. You know.
I also noticed I could not pinpoint in my work with you one thing that I released because I don't know. I'm not. Nothing came up that I was like, it was this, but I just feel light. And when you ask, like, how do you feel? Light came to, just everything feels light. So is that something that you might not, you're holding on to things you're unaware of, and they go and you can't say, hey, it was this.
Yes, it's our mind who always wants to make sense and attach meaning to things, you know, but you have to trust that whenever you come to my session, you will heal a part of you, you will release. And the proof of it is the next few days after the session. The session is like a little catalyst for your healing. What really matters is how you're going to take that knowledge and take it into your day-to-day life. You know, and I forgot what I wanted to say. Yeah, but
you're carrying it with you the next day. Like today, I was very emotional and very, you know, dancing like there's so much emotion, there's so much there, because it's an intense experience. And actually my tracker that I wear picked up my heart rate going up and down, so there is a lot to process through afterwards, but like I'm smiling and I feel like I'm radiating inside.
Absolutely.
And I want to share your practice with everybody. That's one of the reasons I was thankful to have you here today. Can you maybe share how you got here to this work and a little bit of your personal story with basketball?
Yeah, it's been a long journey, but I was born in Belarus and raised in Poland, and I played a little bit of college and professional basketball, and somewhere along my journey I got paralyzed with my waist down. I wasn't able to walk for a little over a year, and it didn't happen because I suffered from an injury or structural damage to my body. It happened because I suppressed a lot of emotions. I had a lot of unprocessed trauma that happened in my life, and as a man and as an athlete we are always taught to be tough, to suck it up, to man up, and that's exactly what I've been doing. I did not know that that trauma, those emotions are storing somewhere and gonna come back later on in life in form of physical pain, but that's what happened. And there were moments where I was doing a lot of different medical examinations to figure out what is wrong with me, why am I in so much pain, and later on being paralyzed on my right leg. And nobody could tell me.
No medical reason.
No medical reason except for some inflammation, you know. And being in that state that I have no hope for receiving help because nobody even knows what is wrong with me. That was the hard moment for me, and I wanted to commit a suicide a lot of times when I was in that state, because I did not see the end of the tunnel, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel. And one of my friends told me you should do psychedelics, you should do psychedelics. And I'm like, no, 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 I'm an athlete, because I still struggle with letting go of identity of an athlete. I wasn't able to walk, but I was still an athlete, right? And it was hard for me to even grasp to take any drugs, you know. Right now I understand it as medicine, not drugs, but back then it was different. But he told me, okay, if you don't want to do psychedelics, you should try breathing. And I'm like, well, what should I do? And he said, just breathe for 2-3 hours like this, right? Yeah. And during that process, I did it. I'm not sure for how long I did it.
On your own?
On my own, yes. With no music, just breathing. Because this was my last resort. Because he told me, like, if I do it, I will get out of my body, you know, and I will not be experiencing this pain and what I'm going through. And that's all I wanted, because I did not have enough courage to commit a suicide, you know. And when I started breathing in those rhythms, I started to scream and laugh like a psychopath and cry, and I did not know where all of it was coming from. But what I noticed is I started wiggling my toes after the breathing. I started rolling my ankle. I started to have some sensation in it. And I thought that there might be something in it. Not only did I went out of my body, but I also realized that something was healing inside of me. So I did this practice like every day for multiple days. I don't even remember how many, but more and more stuff was coming out, you know. And at some point, I started even wiggling my leg a little more. But very important part to my healing was also meeting a very skillful and knowledgeable doctor who specializes in mind-body work, and he was able to connect for me that what I was going through emotionally in my life caused that pain. Because when you're going through something so physical, your mind wants to connect it to, oh, I need a surgery. It cannot be my emotions. I need a surgery, I need a knee replacement, hip surgery, you know? But it's all related. It's all related. And I think not only breath, but also connecting the dots. That's why in my work, I'm combining the way I communicate with people, the way I guide with people to make those mental connecting the dots and release somatically. And there was a lot of different tweaks that I've done. It's not only breathing like this for 2-3 hours. I guide the breath work like a roller coaster. You know, I raise the energy sometimes very high and then I drop it, and it's a moment for people to be able to process everything they build up in those intense moments. And it was a lot of trial and error, because when I first wanted to teach people how to do it, nobody would keep up even for 10 minutes in a rhythm like this. So there was a lot of different tweaks. Yes.
Last night when you had us put our left hand up and feel the energy, and then bring both hands together and place the energy.
Did you feel it?
I felt it. I mean, wild. I mean, it felt like I was holding a ball of energy. What is that?
It's energy.
But is it like like the tingling, and that is all the energy that I found within myself?
Absolutely, that you activated and became aware of. And that energy is, I connected to, in Chinese traditional medicine, it's called qi, right? Qi. And it's connected also to heat. And I connected to fire from within. You awoken that fire within yourself. And to have the fire awaken, have the fire started, we need oxygen. You know, so I feel like this is perfect episode for your show, because we need oxygen to get the fire burning.
I love that, and I am beyond grateful to have found you, and I look forward to working with you again. And I thank you for sharing your practice with us today.
Thank you for this opportunity.
My pleasure. Can you look into the camera and tell everyone where they can find you?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. It's Imagine Vitality, but instead of V, with the W, okay? So it's Vitality with the W. And my website is my first and last name, vitalijmartynow.com, and that's where you can find some more information about me and my schedule for events. I'm traveling all around the country, doing events for over 200 people in different cities every day, and it's a beautiful experience. It brings communities together, and we're healing the world this way and bringing everyone closer to their hearts.
On that note, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, friends. Fire from within.
Thank you.
Thank you
I think
so
it was good.
much.